Hello, hello everyone. Welcome to the call. We're so excited about today's webinar. You have no idea. We've got a great guest here today. We have so much to cover. We're going to get right on it. So I'd like to introduce to you Shahar, first of all, and then we'll go from there. So Shahar, can you hear me all right? Are you there?
Yes, fantastic. Before I talk, Nashla, would you mind telling them how to ask questions during the webinar? This is a content only webinar. We have a lot of content to show to you, and would love your interaction. So can you tell them how to do it?
Absolutely. Listen, while you're listening, if you have any questions, anything that you'd like to ask Lisa, in your GoToWebinar panel on the right side, there's a little box, one of which says questions and another which says chat. You can type in your questions or something in the chat box, and we will get it over here on our end, and then we can ask Lisa at the end of the call. So while you're listening, hey, if a question pops up, just type it in, and we'll address it at the end, okay?
Yes, the more the better. Well, and today we are going to talk about how to have a business breakthrough despite the challenges in your life. Well, we all know that those challenges happen every now and then. And I had to invite an expert on this topic. She has a very interesting life story. Lisa J. Peck is a success business consultant, and she's also a published author and host of a TV show which goes out weekly that you can see on bizonyourterms.tv. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Lisa, before we go into the topic itself, tell us a little bit about yourself, because you have quite an interesting story.
Well, first off, the thing that makes me different than most people is I'm a mother of 8 children.
Yeah. That's a lot.
It's an extra lot when 6 of them are female, so yes.
Well, that alone, I think, brings some challenges to the table, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. But go ahead and tell us more about your story.
Okay. I got to tell you, when people talk to me, they think that I really have my act together. I've been coaching for 10 years. I've been helping people go from overwhelmed to getting the results that they want in their business and doing it on their terms. I love doing that. I love seeing results. It's something that I'm really good at. I'm also the mother of 8. They're going, how do you do that? Plus, I have 20 books published. And, all of these things sound like they're really showy accomplishments. But let me tell you the other side about me, just so that you can get a little bit to know about who I am, what I've come from, and why I'm talking about this subject today. And I want to let you know that this is the first time I've ever shared this information publicly. So if I get a little teary-eyed, please bear with me, because this is the first time that I have shared, and so you're lucky, and I hope that you appreciate the fact that I'm sharing it with you. So have you ever had a deep longing for something you hold buried deep inside your heart of hearts, something you don't talk about and you barely ever mention to yourself? Well, for me, that one thing that I longed for, desired, and wanted more than anything to have was an absolutely beautiful love in my life. One where I was appreciated, adored, respected. One where I look at a man with deep respect, honor, and appreciation for the kind of person he is. This longing is one of those things I didn't talk about, but has always been there for me. So when my second husband and I had been married for 10 years, and he started being extra nice at home, started doing more honeydew things, more loving, he paid more attention, I was getting really excited. Maybe at last my dream was coming true, because we had had our share of struggles, and we had really been working on the relationship, and I was starting to think, well, maybe it's finally all this work that we're doing is starting to pay off. He told me right about this time that he was planning a really great anniversary gift for me. And I was shocked. We've been married, this is going to be our 10th year, and he had never planned for our anniversary. So that was one of those things that really surprised me, and I was excited. We had some the last 3 years had been really difficult. He had been extremely ill, in and out of the hospital many, many times. He had 2 critical surgeries and had been in the ICU unit. I had said goodbye to him after the last surgery, being told by the office staff that he had a 70% chance of dying during that operation. So things had been a little bit tough. But he survived that, and then we had some really hard events happen, and we were forced to move to a new state, so we were going through all that transition. And by that point, my health gave out, and I ended up in the hospital. And long story short, I ended up needing to have surgery myself. So we had had all these really big things happen to us, and finally things started to even out, and I felt like we were getting back to normal. And he was planning an anniversary gift, so I was really excited. So I went on a cruise to Mexico with my older teenagers for spring break, and I just wanted to spend some time with them and enjoyed them. But, after being on a cruise with teenagers, after a while you can imagine that I was in a hurry to get home and to just get away from some of that intensity. And I was really looking forward to recovering from the trip, and all I wanted to do was just get a big, juicy hug from my husband and take all that stress away. Well, when I arrived home, I discovered that all my documents, the title to my house, the car, etc., were gone. Some of my furniture was gone, and a Dear John letter was posted on my office door. Also missing were my 2 little girls, who were 4 and 6. My anniversary gift was a divorce, and my girls being ripped from me. We can't always choose what happens to us, but we can choose how we're going to respond. We can choose if we're going to go and step it up or let the devastation of some of these life-shocking things happen to us. Now, each of us have challenges. Lately, these challenges have been dramatic for a lot of us, increasing in the complexity and the magnitude because of the current society that we're living in. I would like to ask listeners to think of their challenges. Are you going to let them take you out, destroy your business, destroy what's possible for you? Well, neither was I. So I would like to go and explore some of the ways to move forward no matter what happens.
That's fantastic.
So, do you want me to go on?
Oh, yeah. I'm speechless, Lisa. You can go on. I'm listening.
Yes. Okay, the first thing we're going to explore is the must-have habits to moving forward in your life. And the first must-have habit is to choose hard. Choosing hard means that there's an easy way to go about to fix a problem, and there's a hard way that will, in the long term, get you what you want. An example of this is eating candy is an easy way to fix your hunger. But eating spinach is a lot harder, or at least it is for most of us. But eating spinach will get you more of the health that you want long term. So to my crisis, the first thing I had to do was scream when I discovered that I was left and I was abandoned. It was the most guttural scream I think I've ever heard, and definitely the most guttural scream I have ever given. No childbirth, no natural childbirth, nothing compared to the scream I gave at that time when I realized what was happening. After the scream stopped, then I took a breath. At that moment, I had to choose. Was I going to choose hard, or was I going to choose easy? Now, I had made it a habit to choose hard, and I would encourage listeners to always choose what will get you in the long term what you most want. So at that moment, I knew it wasn't time for emotions. It was time to protect oneself and to go into crisis management. For my situation, that meant calling the police, calling my financial institution and taking care of that, and then to call associates that I had just barely met to try to find a lawyer. You got to remember, I was new to the state. I had just barely moved to California, so I was frantic. But I did immediately get a lawyer. And I also had to make one other choice, and that was an emotional choice. And that was to either choose to let this take me down or to choose that somehow I was going to make better of the situation no matter what had just happened. The second must-have habit is to condition within. Once all the intimate threat was taken care of, and I knew my next action steps had been to secure my foundation. So after I got the lawyer, I talked to the police, I knew what to do. I knew that the next thing I needed to do was to really start making sure that I was standing on a solid foundation. In my business, I spent a lot of time working with owners to make sure that their business foundation is solid before they move forward, and making sure that they know exactly where they stand and that they're setting up their goals and their objectives in the right place. This is a critical concept, and if you want to take a test to see how you are, how solid you are and how solid your foundation is, just shoot me an email on the business at lisa@stepitupqueen.com. So back to my story. Securing my foundation on my inner world was critical, and I knew that I needed to get grip. I needed whatever it took to get me in shape and to get me to be able to go through the next bit of challenges that was coming my way. I needed to make sure that I was conditioned. And, at that time, I was floating through my empty house. I had no husband, no children, and not knowing what happened to me. And you got to realize, for a person who is a mother of 8 and normally have 10 people in the house, to all of a sudden be in a house that is empty, and not empty just for a couple hours, but it was empty for days. This was very shocking, and it had completely changed what I was used to. And the biggest thing was I didn't know if I was going to see my babies again. So I sat there walking through my house, and I was completely consumed in pain. And I just didn't know what to do. And, before this crisis had hit, my normal habit was whenever anything got hard, whenever anything got challenging, I would just suck it up and plow through, pioneer stock. We can just make it through. We can just suck it up. But, going to the hospital a couple months earlier because of exhaustion, I knew that sucking it up and just plowing through was not going to be the best strategy for me to move forward. I didn't want to end up in the hospital again because that would just get me further away from what I wanted, which was my babies. And I also knew that I needed to take consistent action in choosing me, choosing my worth, choosing my value, and believing in it no matter what was going on in my outside world. I knew I couldn't go through this alone. I'm a very social human being. I really love my friends and connections. So I did something that was really, really difficult for me, and I swallowed all my pride. And I decided, I know what you do in these kind of situations. You need to ask for help. So I opened up my heart, and I got on Facebook, and I posted this post. April 6, 2013. My husband has been extra loving and kind lately. He promised me a great anniversary present after I got home from a cruise with my children. I came home, most of my documents and files were taken, my younger children were taken, and I was served divorce papers. He will not allow me to see my kids. I will not allow these events to stop me loving and trusting in humanity. I truly believe stepping up and being vulnerable and still trusting that there is good in the world is the answer. The future is bright. God will carry me through, and I will continue to help others and bless their lives. Others may be nasty, but that doesn't mean I have to be. Oh my gosh, sorry.
No, it's with the story, we've learned so far that we have to choose hard, which is not what we want to do at that exact moment, right? So So that's the advice you're giving. Let's go choose hard, because in the long run, this is what's going to bring me results. And then conditioning within. I would actually like to hear, Lisa, how do you do this conditioning? Do you say affirmations? How is the process here? Because I think that's very important. It's the same thing as there is no such a thing of as motivation. There's self-motivation. Conditioning starting inside yourself is also very important, because it will lead to to consistent action. So could you tell us how you do this part?
Yeah, conditioning within, it's very personal, and it's depending where you are in your life and what's going on. For me, how I conditioned to be able to ask in such a big way in Facebook, at least it was big for me, was because I had spent a lot of my work and internal work on figuring out what I needed, what was next for me, where was I weak, and where was I falling short. And I was falling short on being way too masculine, always handling things myself, always saying I can do it, always being that superwoman and having my act together. And I had been working for at least a year up to this point on learning how to be more feminine, learning how to be more vulnerable, learning how to just tell the truth and say where I was at. So that was what I was working on, was knowing that I had been caught up too much in the business world, that I needed to develop that one side. And how do you know what area to work in, which is probably the next question you're going to ask me, is for me, I had a lot of feedback. Okay, you're very masculine, or where's the femininity? And just a lot of people would come up to me and say, oh, I'm intimidated by you. Things like that gave me a big message that I wasn't being vulnerable enough and I wasn't being warm enough. And so that was my habit of working on conditioning within. Mm-hmm. Some of my clients, some of them are way too critical on themselves. And so working on positive affirmation and speaking well and speaking kindly and loving themselves like what they would want a lover to do, that's the work that we do within. And other times, some of my businessmen, we have to do work on helping them see themselves as a brilliant leader, not the leader that they already are, but a leader in a bigger way, and learning to accept and to step up and to be more caring and to see the power they have. So it really depends where you're at. And what you need to work on, but a lot of self-awareness can really help you know what to do to condition within.
Awesome. And then the step 3, the habit 3, there you have to, the what you just said about conditioning within and the fact of being more masculine. As women, we do that quite often because we understand that we have to model after the business model that has been going on for so many years. There is a more male oriented, and we ended up acquiring habits that they don't serve us. So that was very good. But please go ahead.
Okay, before we get to step 3, I want to tell you what happened, because I was so glad that I had been working on my femininity. And this is one of those things that's really big for women who are in business, because in business a lot of times we have to be masculine. We're moving, we're shaking, we're moving forward. So practicing how to be feminine in a masculine business world has been one of those things that it's a very interesting discussion. But after I posted that Facebook thing, trying to get some conditioning within, trying to really build my foundation, the most amazing thing happened, and I really want the listeners to hear this. After I put my heart out and I asked, I started getting comments. One comment dinged in, and then another comment dinged in, and then people who had read it started calling me on the phone, people who I hadn't heard from forever. People started showing up at my house. I had people who would just come over and start helping me. I had countless comments, prayers, well wishes sent my way, lots of emails. It was so overwhelming. I was flooded with just tons and tons of people reaching out to me.
Nice.
I was so completely overwhelmed with the love. I literally felt bathed in support and love. I never knew until that moment how many people cared about me. I truly did not know that I had hundreds of people who cared. It was ironic because at that time I was at my greatest pain. I felt the most love. 2 hours after posting that message and having hundreds of people doing prayers or intentions or sending angels or whatever was their belief system, my former husband called and said, I don't know why, but I feel like I should let you see the kids.
That's amazing.
Yes. And I know it was because there was such a huge universe of intention. It's amazing what we could tap to. I didn't know I had that, and I could tap into that. You don't know what you have ability and the love and the support that you can get unless you actually reach out and be vulnerable and start asking. Mm-hmm. So you have hard things in your life too, but hard leads to success. Going through hard carves out our character and reveals the undaunted spirit that many of us didn't even know we had. When you have those moments to step up in ways you didn't even think you could, to take those small baby steps, do. Take the small baby steps until the bright light of hope shines on you again and you realize the lesson that the great teacher of pain has taught you. Now, the third habit is to have consistent action. Now, this, from my business, I needed to drill down and figure out where the most important things I needed to do to keep my business going and make no excuses doing them. Because I was going to have a big fight ahead of me. I had a big, huge divorce. The kids were taken on and off all the time because it took us a long time to get a temporary custody order. So there was a lot of things that was thrown at me all of a sudden, and I wasn't prepared. So I needed to make sure and really look at my business and say, what are the most important things to keep this business going so that when I could show up full time, again, I haven't lost it. Now, this is really critical for a lot of people. And I work a lot with my clients to determine what are the 3 most consistent actions. And whether you're going through a crisis, and when you're going through a crisis, you're just doing crisis management. But you should know what your 3 steps are, especially if you aren't going through a crisis, so you can grow your business. And as you think about what those 3 steps, I want you to really think about what those steps are by aligning it with your personality, your business goals, and ultimately what you want your life to look like. What is your ultimate life? Now, if this gets a little daunting, sometimes it's hard to figure out all those steps, your personality, your goals, and your ultimate life. And I'm going to have an offer at the end of this where I can help you through that if you want to take advantage of that. So,
Lisa, give me just a second. Nashla, can you tell people how to ask questions if they want to?
Yes, please, if you want to ask questions, I would love to answer them. Go to the chat box and just type in the questions there, and I'll be sure to answer them.
Nice.
So,
thank you.
Yes. Now, I want to go deeper into helping people have the best mindset.
Awesome.
So when they have a crisis happening, what will keep you from spinning? Because it's really easy to get caught up in the emotion, into the pain, into what's happening. Now, the first step is to get really clear on your priorities. And, one of my clients, when he did this, he had a brand new baby that was in the primary children's hospital. The baby was very, very seriously ill, and his wife was about ready to have surgery over something else, and he was really stressed when we were coaching. And when we coached, we worked really hard at figuring out what the 3 steps were, how he could do them, how could he still be there for his family, still do his self-care for him. And long story short, at the end of that event, he called me up and was so excited because when he did those 3 things, he realized that he had worked less in those 6 months, way less, and he had made more money. So there's a big advantage of getting really clear on prioritizing and really figuring out how to be efficient. So whether you're in crisis right now, it's critical, or if you're not, it can really serve you to figure that out.
It does, and let me give you a side note here. We get into the trap, Lisa, especially when we are in a crisis, to be busy all the time, right? And we have to understand that being busy doesn't equal either productivity or income. So we need to get into the habit, because when we are not busy, we feel guilty. Right? So it's important for us to understand how to stop that, and like you said, start prioritizing the three main things, not only that will lead to results, but that have meaning to you.
Yeah, and really having the life that you want, because when it comes down to it, it's not always about the money, it's about the lifestyle, it's about having fulfillment, it's about doing your purpose and reaching the people that you're meant to reach.
Exactly.
And the more that you are clear on that, the more that you can have that life. And I've just seen little tiny changes. When I work with my clients, oftentimes it's just the smallest adjustments that they're really willing to take, and it totally transforms either their happiness or the results they're getting. It's just amazing. Now, the second step is to chop the crisis down to size. Too many people, when they have something really hard happen to them, let it take over their whole world and they freeze. It's like nothing else can exist in the world. They can't breathe other than that crisis. And if you get into that, it is not productive. And so, that, and it will, your business can, it's bad enough having something bad to happen to you. You don't want your business to be taken out and your health being taken out and your family relations going. You don't want that downward spiral. So you need to really chop down the crisis and really look at it and get it down to size. So when it came to me going through this divorce, the question I was constantly asking myself is, how can I make this event to be a speed bump and not the whole big thing of my life? Now, what's helped, because I know some people listening probably are struggling with some health issues. When I was struggling with the health issues, here's some questions that I was constantly asking and adjusting. What can I do in my work? How can I celebrate my work and accept the limitations that my health is bringing right now? What are some other ways to get the results I want? How can I be more effective so when I do show up with work, for the limited time I have and energy I have, I can get the most results? So those are some questions you can ask.
Okay, do you mind repeating them? I was taking notes. Yeah.
Okay. What can I do to make in my work to accept my limitation but to keep moving forward? What are some other ways that I can go about getting my work done that will get me the results I want? And let's see, the other one I came up with, but it was, how can I be more efficient for the limited amount of time and energy I have so that I can get the most results out of the effort I take? Now, I also have a question for money, because I'm positive a lot of people listening have gone through some of the money crises and all that. And, people will get caught up in this negative spin of there isn't any jobs, there's no money, or this is going negative, and just everything I do, So that is making the world way too big. So with money, how you can chop it down to size, here's one of my favorite questions. Where's the quickest way to cash? And what's the fastest way to turn this around? And I know with my clients, if I can get them to go get a client and have some cash pulling in, it's like they become a whole new person. The positive energy starts coming, they start having a lot more hopeful things, and it's a lot easier to build their business and to work on their business because cash is coming in and they're being rewarded to it. And most of us have money just sitting there waiting for us to go ask for it. In fact, all of us do. So just looking for where is the quickest way to cash. You have some answer there.
True. And you know, Lisa, if you don't mind, of course, when we see clients, all types of life events happen in their lives or in their business. And one question that I use, because when we are in a crisis, it's very easy to let fear take control of everything, right? So we need to get back to what's real. And I just ask, what's the worst case scenario? Because once they start outlining and visualizing what's the worst case scenario, many times they see that it's not that big monster they are seeing ahead of them. It's just that fear starts setting in and creating all those stories.
Yeah, when I work, same thing. When I work with my clients, it's either fear or trust. Which one are you going to entertain?
Yes, exactly.
Fear or trust? That's your choice.
Yeah, that's worth repeating. Fear of trust. Which one are you going to entertain? Because it's your choice. That's very good.
Yeah, one way for me to really help with my husband and what he had done to me was to figure out how to make him a speed bump was asking myself another question. He had already done the damage. He had already ended our marriage. He had already taken my kids. He had already taken my files. We were already going to go through the divorce. There was no question about that one. So the damage was done. Was I going to allow him to continue to take my power, more of my power away? Was I going to allow him to hurt my life more by me not getting over it? And when I asked myself that question, it was, it was a gut-roaring, no way. There is no way I was going to let him keep me down. There was no way I was going to let this event ruin my life. I didn't want to give him any more. I was not going to allow him to make my life miserable because that was giving my power away. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that goes to the third step, which is to look for the opportunity, because every challenge we go through has some kind of opportunity underneath it. There's something in there that if we find it and we harvest it and we work on that opportunity, our life will be better because of what we went through. Now, with me, when I looked for the opportunity, it didn't take very long. It was within, getting over the shock, I wrote the opportunity was now I was going to be able to go and create a relationship that I really wanted. Not try to get into, I was married to him, I was committed, yes, we were married, but it was not what I really wanted. I was not married to an equal. And so now I have the delicious opportunity to go and figure out what do I really want and to attract a partner that is a lot more on the same path as I am. Mm-hmm. And that I can also, because I'm no longer married, which, Shahar, I know you know this advantage, is that we have a lot more control over our lives.
Yes, we do. Everything has a good side, right? But it's important to understand that we have a lot of impact in everything that is happening in our lives, and it doesn't matter what's the crisis, if it's like in your case a relationship or a business partner or a disease or whatever it is. We have really to first of all, I love the second step, chop the crisis down to size. That's fundamental, because it's very easy to see it a lot bigger than it really is. And then look, what's the good outcome out of that? And we all go through challenges. In business, that's quite common nowadays. Well, you have to think, well, is this an opportunity for me to transition to something else? Is this an opportunity to reinvention, to improve, to so many other options there are down, sometimes even to quit? So it's you have to see what is going to generate from you coming from that crisis, because I do believe, Lisa, that those crises, they happen for a reason in our lives, and it's always to make us move forward, not behind, whatever it is, be business, disease, relationships.
Absolutely. In looking at the chopping the crisis down to size, that is a really hard step, and it's one of those things that you might need to have some help on, because it's hard to get out of your own head and all the reactivity and all the stuff that's happening. Sometimes just having a compassion, somebody that's there for you and understands, because it's really hard when you're in that kind of thing. It's really hurtful. And to have someone who cares about you, who understands you, but who also will call you forth to move forward and be bigger and better than you thought you were going to be, by helping you get clear on what your steps need to be, not only to get through the crisis, but to keep your business going. It can be very, very fundamentally helpful to moving forward and to get you to the third step. You can't rush these steps, you know.
Good. And you know, we all have our blind spots. So if we try to do, like you said, the moment you went to Facebook, things changed, not only from the outside, the way people were reacting to what you posted, but in yourself, in seeing another perspective of what was going on. Same thing in any part of our lives. We have that blind spot, and we need other people helping us in the process.
Yes, yeah, and it was amazing how much me going out to Facebook, putting that out, how many people reached out, and I was willing to ask for the help when they reached out again. So I ended up with some phenomenal babysitters. I ended up with the rocking lawyer, you know, because people were helping me, and I was willing to ask. And willing to ask is one of those things that is difficult for especially people who are business owners, like a lot of us on the call, and who are used to taking charge.
Yes, you know, I have that problem myself, Lisa. For me, asking for help is a big issue. You know, even my bag, I'm carrying one that has a picture of Wonder Woman. So anytime I have to reach out, it's a huge exercise. It's not an easy one, right? Because you know, profession-wise, I'm a problem solver. So every time that balance is not there, and I need somebody to help me solve a problem, it becomes a real issue. It's difficult.
Yeah, it is. So I want to go back a little bit, because I have an assignment for our listeners, if they're willing to do this, is when we're looking for the opportunity, I want you to really think about the question of, what is my ultimate life? What do I need to have in my ultimate life? What does it look like, feel like, taste like? Because when, you know, as soon as I got free of the marriage that wasn't working, that was one thing that really helped me, because I had no one to stop me now. I was responsible for my own life. And I really wanted, now I'm building this beautiful life. I'm making lots of major changes, and it's feeling right. So look at and write down. I want the listeners to write down, what is their current opportunity from the challenges they're going through, and what is their ultimate life. Really put some thought into some of those questions. You know, the opportunity that came from my health challenges was that I learned I had so much time to be reflective, because there were times I was so ill that I couldn't even open my eyes, I couldn't write. So all I was left was with my thoughts and getting really in tune with who I am, what I'm about, what kind of life do I want. And when I've come back from this illness, my business has just soared, and things are falling in place. I'm talking about and doing webinars on things that I'm passionate about, because I took the opportunity to really get in sync with myself and figure out where I wanted to go in my business. And with money, if you're having challenges with money, some of the opportunities that are there is learning how you can change things around, learning how resilient you are, learning if you can do this. So those are some questions I really want people to ask. And this is juicy questions. The more you can get the authentic answers where it's resonating in all parts of your body, the more you're going to find happiness and fulfillment, which I think most of us are looking for.
Mm-hmm. It's a very good thing this times of crisis. As you know, Lisa, in a short period of time, I fell and hurt my feet twice, right? Which I don't usually fall, and it's not something that is common. And one of my clients was actually telling me, you know, when this type of stuff happens, you are asking yourself a break to be able to think and see what lies ahead. And I thought, you know what, that can be. Right, and what you said just justifies all this. That you use that time that you're down for whatever reason, exactly to be able to think and see what's ahead.
Yeah, it's just looking at the events that happen in your life because, I'm going through this divorce and I've been hit. My car has been hit 3 times.
Okay.
3 times. And, you had something like that happen to you.
Well,
like,
but you live in California. Come back to Utah. Come on.
Okay, one of the times was in Utah, so I know you're not going to And I wasn't even in my car. One time I wasn't in my car. Another time I was sitting in the car. I hadn't even turned it on, and I got hit. So that was not a very big one. And another time I was slowed down in traffic, and they just plowed into me, and I've had to go through, rehab and all that. And I'm going, okay, what is the message? What is there a message on? And I think one of the messages for me, going through getting hit 3 times, was, look, Lisa, even though you're a single mother, you're going through divorce, you're running your business, you're doing all this stuff, and you feel like my story was, I'm overwhelmed, I can't handle this, I don't know how to keep my house functioning, I don't know how to do this, da-da-da. I handled it all. We didn't miss a beat. My kids are happier now. They're flourishing in school. My car was taken care of. And even though these are big, daunting things that it used to be my husband that dealt with it, I now know you can throw things at me and I can handle it. Not that I want things thrown at me, but I have the confidence now that I can handle it. So that was my opportunity to learn. It doesn't matter. Even if you get hit, you can turn things around.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Now, the other thing that we had promised in this seminar that we were going to cover, and I want to talk about, is getting the secret of getting back on your feet quickly. Now, this is a huge secret. It might sound like, oh, yeah, blah, blah, but it's really, really big. And that is to do some meditation. And I'm not talking going out and doing 6 weeks of meditation or, all of that. I'm talking about taking time every day and just doing some deep breaths and getting into the different part of your brain so you can get clear and so that you're not as reactive. Now, I used to fight meditation like crazy. I am a AAA personality. I'm always go, go, go. I didn't understand what this stop your thought crap was about. It didn't make any sense to me. But I have learned to harness with meditation by taking 15 minutes, and the studies say 20, but I've never had time for 20, but 15 minutes where I'm just thinking about what I call meditation for the AAA, is to really think about what's bothering me, how I would like to react to it, what would be my ultimate outcome to a situation, and start role-playing in my mind how I would like things to come out. And then it's amazing after taking those deep breaths and getting really clear and just going into the tension, how many times I get insights going, oh, I should do this. Oh, you know what? You're going through a divorce. Oh, he was just trying to trigger me. I don't need to be triggered. That's his issue. It's not my issue. I don't need to worry about it. Oh, I got into fear. I shouldn't go into fear. I'm going to choose trust. And just taking that moment, 15 minutes every day, to really get clear and in tune with yourself would completely shift how your outcome's going.
So I have a question here, because that's something I've been trying, and I'm up to 5 minutes. I have a hard time. You have no clue. But one thing I was trying, and it looks like it's different than what you do, is that I was trying just to think about nothing. That's what I was told. But what you're saying is you go with a specific topic or issue, right? And you think what's the best outcome, and is that correct? Did I understand that right?
Yeah. I am not a meditation guru person, and I studied all that stuff, and they always kept saying empty your brain, and that never worked for me.
Okay.
And so what I do and what I've done is I'm like, well, if I'm going to take this time to be down, yeah, I go and, if I have an issue, I will definitely think about it, and it's amazing how much clarity comes. If I don't, I'll just go and see, am I tense somewhere in my body, and then I'll go into it and see what's bothering me, where am I not in alignment. And what I have found through doing this, and, I do have a clue about how rough meditation is for you, because it was really rough for me, really rough. But what I found is the more that I focusing on an issue, almost 9 times out of 10 now, my brain ends up by the end of the 15 and I don't even know where I was at. So I went empty. But if I think I must empty my brain, not have any thoughts, oh, there's a thought, that drove me crazy.
Yeah.
That did not work.
Yeah, I'm going to try your way because this other way is not working for me. 5 minutes looks like an eternity. Good.
Yeah, the biggest thing for dealing with challenges and crises is, and the reason I bring this tool in, is what I want people to do is take time to not be reactive, because reactive is what's going to cause you trouble. If I was reactive to every single legal thing that my farmer was sending me, I would not be able to have him be a speed bump in my life. I would not be able to be running my business and going out and playing, because I am in California now and you just cannot not play here. I wouldn't have time to do that if I was constantly caught up in, oh, he said this and he did that. When really all I have to do is get clear and go, okay, is this an issue that I need to worry about, or is this something for my lawyer? And if I trust my lawyer, which I do, and I've done the research on him, I'm like, okay, there's not much. I will do what I can. I always do the divorce work first, do what I can, and then I let it go. And let it go. And let it go. And I just trust my lawyer's going to do what he needs to, and I'm going to be fine. Versus getting caught up, and so when he sends me those zingers or does this or that, I am working, and when I do the best, and I'm not always perfect with this, when I look at him and say, he's on his journey. That's interesting. And just leave it at that. He can beat the speed bump.
That's funny. So it brings the phone and you say, oh, it's my speed bump.
Make your challenge your speed bump, whatever it takes to not get reactive to it. So whether it's health and you're going, okay, it sucks that I don't feel good, but what can I appreciate? What can I do?
No, and I like the concept of the speed bump because, well, that's how we have to see the issue that is going on in order to move forward. And, it gives the brain a visual aid of what's going on because, brain doesn't respond, the part of the brain that holds emotions doesn't respond well to language. So you start giving a shape and a form to what's going on in your life. And then the brain starts seeing how to cope with that.
Yes, yeah. And, and that's what the meditation is just you look at, that role playing on how you ultimately would want a situation to come. It's actually harder than you think it is. I've role played certain scenarios. It's like we keep arguing. Like, wait, I don't want that as my ultimate outcome. So then it would say, okay, what do I need to do? How do I need to show up differently to this situation so we don't end up in that argument? What do I need to change in my heart? What do I need to let go so that it can go in the way that I would prefer? And to visually give yourself a way of how you want to show up, how you want to react, how you want to be, so that you can have the life that you want and move towards it.
Awesome.
Okay, so I've hoped that the listeners have gotten a whole lot out of this webinar. I've tried to give a whole bunch of juicy information and skill sets and things that they can do and tools that help them through these challenges. I know that there's a lot of pain out there. There's a lot of people going through a lot of things, and and I don't want the challenges to prevent them from doing what their purpose is and what is good for them. There's only so much that I can cover in an hour, and I have so much that I can offer. So if you would like to take what you've learned today and to go to the next step, what I would like you to do is to think about my offer that I'm offering you today. And it's free, and it's just a way for me to help you go deeper and to customize this, because I know we've been talking a lot of principles and concepts, and everybody's situation is different. So for the listeners, I threw together this Get Out of Business Breakthrough Despite Everything coaching session. And this consultation is designed that you will be able to identify where you're giving away your power to the challenges and how to stand firmly no matter what is happening. We will also go in the session, we'll customize what your mindset needs to be to work with your unique situation so that you can rock no matter what is thrown your way. And we will also identify the systems to have the clients and cash come pouring in so that you can keep your business going, you can keep it growing. What do you need to do? If you sign up for this session, you'll walk away with the excitement of knowing exactly what to do next to build your business, stay in your power no matter what, and to build your ultimate life. Now, I know most of you are busy, and you can understand that I'm busy too, and I only have room for 5 people to do this session. It's free. It's my way of giving back. So please sign up right away if you're interested. And the way you can sign up is I would love for you to send me an email at lisa@stepitupqueen.com. That's stepitupqueen.com. And what I would like you to do is send me your name, say that you're interested, give me your phone number and the best time to call you and what your most pressing challenge is. Now, it doesn't matter to me if the pressing challenge is personal or if it's in business, because it seems to all interrelate. So if you're really interested and you want to go deeper, you want to really figure out how you can stay in your peak performance going through what's being thrown your way, I would really consider signing up for this complimentary session of Get the Business Breakthrough Despite Everything coaching session. Just send me an email at lisa@stepitupqueen.com, your name, your phone number, the best time to call, and your most pressing challenges.
Awesome. And you know, I've known Lisa for quite a while, and she can help you for sure. She can help you really revamp your life and go through these difficult times. Lisa, we do have some time for questions. Okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please tell me.
Just remember, everyone, if you have a question you haven't asked yet, go to the chat box and Nashla will give the question to us. Nash, go ahead.
All right. Well, first of all, I would definitely take Lisa up on her offer. Send her an email, lisa@stepitupqueen.com. It's on your screen. Tell her your pressing issue, and tell her your interest, and definitely get together with her. You have to act now, have to be quick. Like she said, she only has 5 available slots, so take action right now. Lisa, we had a few questions. I will read them to you one by one as you answer them. And folks, if you have any questions, anything that's you just want to find out the answer for, need some help, by all means, now is the time to ask your question. Just use the question box on your screen. Type it in, and I will ask Lisa for you. So first question, Lisa, is from Crystal, and she says, I know I have an open slate, but sometimes I get tied to my past. What can I do to remind myself that I am not my past failures?
That's a great question. One of the things that you can do is to get really clear on who you are now. And one of the things an exercise I'd love for you to do is to go ask people who are supportive, that are in your environment right now, who you are. And I want you to really get some feedback. And if you really want to take this deep, is to go and write 100 different positives of who you are now, so that you can breathe into who you are and you can recreate your thinking.
Very good. I might actually do that exercise myself.
It's really worth it. It's not easy, but it will totally change your perspective, especially by how people are seeing you, because there's things that you're doing well now that you didn't even know you're doing.
That's great. Okay, Jim has a question, and he asks, what can I do to get rid of that negativity that keeps me stuck?
Well, the first thing to do, and always to do, is to figure out what the negativity is, to identify it, and then to figure out where is it not true. Because there's always a lie in negativity. We're telling ourselves lies. That's why we feel so bad and we're so stuck. So getting really clear on What is it that is that's making you stuck? And then where you can, what is the truth really? And then to start breathing into the truth.
Wonderful. So folks, make sure if you have any questions, now is the time to ask. Type it in. I'll ask Lisa. We had, Susan was, thank you for sharing your story. I needed to hear that. Oh, that's nice.
Thank you.
And then we had Jen. What can I do to not focus so much on what is wrong?
One of the best things to do on not focusing what's wrong is to focus on what is working in your life. So when everything just is getting overwhelming, when I was having everything crashing down, I was like, wait a minute. I have all these terrible things, but, really, right at this moment, I'm feeling good. I'm losing weight. I'm happy. I have a nice sunny day. Why am I so upset? Maybe things will be bad later, but right now I'm actually doing good. So really focusing on where you're at, what's going well, getting that gratitude journal out and focusing on that. And sometimes it's just a matter of changing your state. For me, I was isolated alone in my house. When I posted the Facebook thing, all of a sudden I wasn't alone anymore. I knew myself well enough to know that I needed social. I needed to be out. Some other people who are more introverted than I am, sometimes they need to have time alone. They need to go to nature. They need to feed. So you got to figure out what it is that you're needing and change your state. So if going to nature, walking outside, those are always wonderful things to help change your state. Or talking to a good girlfriend or a friend, going on a walk, but doing something, because if you do something different, it will change the state that you're in.
That's very good. And like you said, even the journaling or even the other exercise that you gave, just listing 100 positive things about yourself will probably get you going into a different state as well.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, I believe, let me do a final check. I believe these are all the questions, unless if you have another question, just sneak it in right now and I will see it. But other than that, I think we've covered all of the questions.
Can you give once again the email for this amazing free offer? She offered a session with amazing end results that you're going to. And all they need to do is write an email. She can only take 5. You can see the reason why. It takes time from her life. But the email, Nash?
So email Lisa so it's Lisa at stepitupqueen.com. Lisa at stepitupqueen.com. It's listed on your screen. It's free. It's a no-brainer. Lisa is excellent. She's very good. You saw it today. You got just a taste of what she can do. Just send her that email. Give her your phone number, tell her your most pressing issue, and connect with her. Absolutely.
Yeah, and like I said, I've known Lisa for a while, and we joke many times that there's no BS here. She tells you like it is, which is important when we work with people. It's important for them not to be there to please us, but to help us move forward. And Lisa is very good at doing that. Lisa, any final comments?
Just if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling blocked, please feel free to reach out to me. That's my specialty. I can figure out where you're blocked. I can help you with that. I want to help you. I want to help you get back to feeling phenomenal, moving forward, and really figuring out. And if you are feeling good, still reach out to me, because you can always make a better life, and you can't do it alone. So I just appreciate everybody being on this phone call, letting me share my story, and to hopefully give you some tips that will help you make your life better.
Yes, and thank you so much for being here and doing this with us. For us, it's really an important part, because we tend to talk so much about business, but the fact is that we can only have successful business if we take care of the person running that business. And challenges and crises, we have them, but we cannot allow them to get in the way, because after all, they're just speed bumps, right? And we have to learn. I learned a lot for sure today from Lisa J. Peck, success business consultant, and also published author of about 20 books, and show host of the TV show BizOnYourTerms.tv. Every week you can find that on YouTube, on iTunes, or on Roku if you have a smart TV. With that said, I want to thank everybody for being here today. We are right on time with it's fantastic, and I hope to see you all next time.
See you next time.